Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
And we're off for another exciting, fun-filled week of making the apocalypse fun. Yes, the apocalypse is still on. It's just been delayed, we think, for 4 years.
Maybe
Maybe delayed.
I don't
for
know.
4
There's
years.
been developments.
Yeah, jeez. A lot of developments. Holy cow. We got to get into what's happening in Syria and our involvement over there. But we're 42 days away from Donald Trump returning to the presidency. He's actually mentioned Syria, tweeted about it. Thank goodness he tweeted about it, because you know the Democrats would love to jump right into this fray as well. But he sent out a tweet, or I'm not sure if this is a truth, but he said, Syria is a mess, but is not our friend. And then he switched to all uppercase. The United States should have nothing to do with it.
Thank you.
This is not our fight.
Thank you.
Let it play out. Do not get involved.
Sweet Lord, thank you.
Oh, I love that. Of course, airstrikes already started. We already launched airstrikes against ISIS, apparently. But thank goodness he was elected, because you know we'd be enmeshed in this thing as well.
Well, there's still time.
There's still time.
Still 6 weeks.
Yes, that's true. That is true. But I'm glad he put it out there.
Yeah.
Thank heaven. Oh, man, literally thank heaven for this. But he had a big hostile territory interview over the weekend. He was on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker. And
A lot of information in this thing. Oh, my gosh.
A ton of good stuff. Yeah. She was also, she clearly hates his guts. And so for him to just even agree to the interview is really something, I think.
Boy, he does not hide the way
He doesn't.
Maybe a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris do.
Yep, right. They'll only go into friendly territory, and even then they want the questions in advance. They don't give answers. I mean, he knew he was going into an enemy spot here, and that she was going to be after him, try to get him. But he was asked about January 6th pardons.
I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Good.
I'm looking first
Issue
day.
these pardons.
These people have been there, how long is it? 3 or 4 years?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
by the way, they've been in there for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open.
Wow. Good. Okay, so for anybody, there was an article last week about how nervous people were getting because he hasn't really talked about the pardons of January 6ers. That should comfort you and help you understand he does plan to fulfill that promise to pardon the January 6ers.
Boy, that's good.
And some of them, you know, have been sentenced to 18, 22 years. The Oath Keepers guy who didn't even go inside the Capitol building.
Wasn't he like in Baltimore?
I think this particular one was just outside, but you know, he was, I think he chanted. He milled and paraded outside the building, but I think that's legal. It's America, right?
Yeah, that's Stuart Rhodes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sentenced to 18 years in prison. 18 years. There was another one that was sentenced to 22 years. Was that the longest sentence? I don't know. There were some ridiculous sentences from people who weren't even there a lot of times. Here was Trump speaking about deportation of illegal aliens.
We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their mental institution, no matter what country it is. Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they've ever been? They're taking their people out of those prisons by the thousands, and they're drunk. And just to get back, because I know exactly what you're getting at. Number one, we're doing criminals, and we're going to do them really rapidly. We're getting the worst gang probably with MS-13, and the Venezuelan gangs are the worst in the world. They're vicious, violent people. And you see what they've done in Colorado and other places. They're taking over, literally taking over apartment complexes. And doing it with impunity. They don't care. They couldn't. They just are. They're in the real estate business.
The local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's totally the case. I mean, I have it on
He didn't
tape.
say it wasn't the case.
I play
Pause it
it.
for a
I
sec.
used to play it.
There's a lie right there from her. He didn't say it wasn't happening. He said it was exaggerated. It was only 2. Something to that effect.
No, that's just a few of them.
Okay. So they've only taken, how many is acceptable? How many apartment complexes have to be confiscated by gang members from other countries before you're worried about it?
Well, as long as they take the ones that are far away from the swimming pool, they can have in the back 40.
All right.
Part of the apartment complex, but not the ones with the prime real estate right at the community pool.
Maybe we should put that in writing so everybody knows sort of the parameters here. How many would be acceptable? All right, let him go.
Case. I mean, I have it
you
on
don't
tape.
believe the local police.
I play it. I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No, they're breaking into doors. They're taking over the building.
But sir, you
and by the
raised
way,
the point.
The police are afraid to do anything.
Wow. Okay, she was very, very concerned for the illegals. Really doesn't want that to happen. I mean, he tried to accentuate the fact that, they're here illegally. Puddin', illegal aliens. And the ones that are really being disrespected here and treated badly are the people waiting to do it legally, waiting for 10 years in some cases. How long did Jonathan Dunn wait?
Oh, gosh.
Wasn't it 10 or 15
10
years?
And he got denied. Yes.
Right. Over and over and over, he tried to get into this country. Finally made it, but it took over a decade. There's a lot of people like that. There's also people who have gotten to the United States and did it the right way, and they see all these people just being handed everything, the keys to our country. And they did it the right way. These people are doing it the wrong way, and they're being rewarded for it. How pissed would you be?
Yeah, and by
if
the
that
way,
was you?
Yeah, absolutely. And Jonathan Dunn, just a quick heads up, I know that during this campaign season, he was getting good people elected in Michigan. So he came over here to help the country that he loves so much.
So great.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he really is. They also discussed tariffs. Here's how that went.
You promised to end birthright citizenship. Are you actually going to?
Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and do that one since we're on the illegal alien subject. Go ahead and do the birthright citizenship. I love this.
You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive
we're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it.
Yes, we do. Yes, that's a tremendous plan. That's something I've wanted to have happen forever. It just makes perfect sense. You can't just step across the border, birth a child, and then they're a citizen forever. And then you have to stay here too because we can't separate families. Here's what Section 1 of the 14th Amendment actually says. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the U.S., on and on. But the point was that you can't deny people who have been living here citizenship because you don't like their ethnicity or they come from the South or the North. This was meant for something completely different than it's being used for. And it's about time that stops. Like he said, we are the only country in the world that allows that. Why should we? Why? I mean, Parkland Hospital here in Dallas.
Oh, right.
I think it's still the case where like 75% of the births that happen in that hospital are birthing illegal aliens. or they're from illegal aliens, because those are all citizens
see
once they're
here.
born.
Okay, the hospital estimates about 70. What was the number you
I
said?
said 75.
Yeah, okay, well.
I exaggerated.
No, but this,
I apologize.
This is probably a conservative number. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
probably.
This is NBC News I'm reading this from. So there you go.
70%.
Man, that is insane.
Isn't that crazy?
And each year, about 16,000 babies are born at Parkland.
And we're just supposed to be okay with that?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, just cross the border. And you know it's worse in other cities.
By the way, when I Googled that, an NBC News article came up, and then right underneath that was a Snopes article. And I was like, oh, really, Snopes? You're going to counter what NBC News has to say about this? I scrolled down. No, they say it's true.
It's true. That is amazing.
There is.
Yeah, we're not even a border city. What are we, 300 miles, 400 miles from the border? Or a long way from the border? Texas is a big place. I was watching, I don't know, some clip on YouTube, and they were talking about Texas. And they mentioned the fact that El Paso is closer to San Diego than Houston.
I love it. It's incredible.
Such a great stat.
Yeah, we're an 8-hour drive
awesome.
from Brownsville from here, 544 miles. 8-hour drive. Just think of where you live right now.
Mm-hmm.
Think of how far you could get in 8 hours.
Yeah.
And that's how far we are from the border. Yet 70% of the births.
Yet at Parkland, 70% of the children born there are from illegal aliens.
Couldn't save a president's life, but they're bringing plenty of illegals into the world.
Too soon? Is that too soon?
What?
62 years?
Yes.
Too
Wow.
soon. Yeah, okay.
Well, they couldn't.
That's
It was
true.
a good job by the CIA.
It's true.
Since that's what they were
Yeah.
trying to do that day. Still bitter.
All right. Now let's get into the tariff situation.
Oh, okay.
Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example. With Canada, and in particular Mexico, we have millions of people pouring into our country. You agree with that? I spoke with I spoke with Justin Trudeau. In fact, he flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call ended. He was at Mar-a-Lago. We were having dinner talking about it. I said, you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border too a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly, drugs are pouring in at levels never seen before, 10 times what we had. They're just pouring in. We can't have open borders. And I said to the president of Mexico and to Justin Trudeau, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%.
All right. And if it is a negotiating tactic, then he shouldn't be telling you it's a negotiating tactic. What a stupid question. I mean, come on. You lose that negotiating ploy if you do tell him, yeah, I'm just negotiating. It's just, that's not really going to happen. So you have to stick to it. She was so concerned about this retribution thing. She actually asked it 12 times.
Oh, my gosh.
A dozen times. Yes. Yep. She asked him 12 times. Now, she couched it with various people, but the whole point was you're going to seek retribution against your enemies. And so she went over and over and over back to that well. Here she is talking about retribution.
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success. If we can make this country successful, that would be my greatest. That would be such a great achievement. Bring it back. We have a country now that's overridden with crime, that has millions of people that shouldn't be here, that should be in prisons in other countries, that should be in mental institutions. We have drug lords being dropped into our country and told never go back to their country. I'm looking to make our country great. I'm looking to bring prices down because, I won on two things, the border and more than immigration. They like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border and I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries.
He did win on those things. I believe that. That's really true.
But I tell you, when Chris and I were putting together all of the videos for today's show, and there are a ton. We moved some of these to overtime, but Chris is telling me that maybe we do a couple more here, you think?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. First of all, let me tell you about this new Danish study, though, that shows 1 year after aborting their child, women exhibited a 50% higher likelihood of first-time psychiatric treatment, 87% higher likelihood of personality and behavior disorders. How is that healthcare? It's the opposite of healthcare. They're becoming unhealthy. That's why preborn is positioned in the highest abortion areas to try to counsel with these women, show them God's love, and show them something so logical as the life that's inside them. And they do that through an ultrasound. That only costs $28. So if you can provide one free ultrasound for someone, that could save a life. It doubles the chances that the baby will be born alive. $28 will do that. But if you can't afford $28, maybe you can do $1, whatever it is. If you're in a much better position, maybe you could do like a leadership gift of $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000. That would save countless lives. Whatever you can do, your donation will be matched, so that means it'll be doubled, and we're going to save twice the babies that we otherwise would have. If you'd like to donate, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/Pat.
Pat Gray Unleashed is back.
All right, we got more from President Trump and his interview on Meet the Press. Here he is talking about the second inaugural address.
Let me ask you, sir, as you think about your inauguration, I remember your first inaugural address, you talked about American carnage. Have you thought about your message for your second inaugural address?
I have.
Can you give us a preview?
We're going to have a message that will make you happy, unity. It's going to be a message of unity. And again, I think success brings unity. And I've experienced that. I've experienced it in my first term, as I said. We're going to be talking about unity, and we're going to be talking about success, making our country safe, keeping people that shouldn't be in our country out. We have to do that. I know it doesn't sound nice, but we have to do that. But basically, it's going to be about bringing our country together.
Mm-hmm. Okay. He also talked about which one?
40. Trump asked if the United States will stay in NATO.
All right.
Will the United States stay in NATO while you're in office?
In where?
NATO. Do you commit that the United States will remain a member of NATO while you're in office?
Again, they have to pay their bills. If they pay their bills, absolutely.
But not if they don't pay their bills.
But NATO's taken advantage of us because we were look, two things. Number one, they take advantage of us on trade, meaning the European nations, okay, like terrible. They don't take our cars, they don't take our food product, they don't take anything. They take, it's a disgrace. And on top of that, we defend them. So it's a double whammy.
Right.
So let me just tell you, I was able to get hundreds of billions of dollars put into NATO just by a tough attitude. I said to the countries, I'm not going to protect you unless you pay. And they started paying. And that amounted to more than $600 billion. That's a big thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be fighting. They wouldn't have any money to fight. If they're paying their bills, and if I think they're doing they're treating us fairly, the answer is absolutely. I'd stay with NATO.
But if not, you would consider the possibility of
absolutely, yeah.
What we should focus on is getting the hell out of the UN. Where's that? Where's that talk? What? Get out of the UN and get the UN out of the U.S. You know, put it in Belgium. Put it in Brussels like every other international organization.
Seriously.
Every other shadow government on the planet is located in Brussels, Belgium. Why not this?
I mean, Reagan told Nixon that when Nixon was president, that they should get out of the UN. Well, Reagan was then president for 8 years, and we're still in it.
Still in it.
Oh.
I mean, we've been talking about getting out of the UN for so long, and they do nothing but oppose everything we are and stand for and try to do in this world. Us and Israel are the main enemies of the UN.
I have a feeling that Trump might get more money out of NATO now than he would have, or than he did, 4 years ago when he was president, based on the war that they've egged on with Russia. And now they're on his doorstep, and he has itchy trigger finger there, Vladimir Putin. So they may give even more now for their defense.
Did you see the number that Trump threw out concerning Ukraine? The aid that we've given to Ukraine?
Oh, I don't know that I did.
This exceeds even our most generous estimates.
Okay, what do we got?
$350 billion.
Make it stop.
Is what he said. He said we're into it for $350 billion.
Cool.
Whereas Europe is donated $100 billion. So we've done 3.5 times what Europe has done, just our one country, when they've got all of Europe to consider. I mean, it's incredible. 350. She didn't dispute it at all. So,
I
mean, he certainly knows better than most. I'm sure he's been briefed on the money that has gone to Ukraine. You know, they've sat down with him and briefed him on all this. So that's a figure I really trust. I'll bet it is $350 billion. Congratulations, America. I mean, we've got people in, and we'll play what's going on in North Carolina, according to somebody who's on the ground there in a little while. But we all know that they're suffering in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Florida. I mean, we had 2 huge disasters there happen right on top of each other.
Sure.
And we're not taking care of our own.
Yeah, Tennessee, parts of Kentucky and Virginia, hell, even Hawaii, still recovering from
the fires over a year ago.
This administration cares not.
Not at all. Not at all. All right, I am interested in what he had to say about Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, you do want to see that here?
Yeah.
It's kind of long. Let's see, where is it? Which clip was that on here? 28, yeah.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Cut 28.
Very interesting, though.
Let me ask you about RFK Jr. He has obviously talked about his skepticism of vaccines. He's expressed opposition to childhood vaccines. Do you want to see childhood vaccines eliminated?
No, geez.
If they're dangerous for the children. Look,
So possibly?
when you look at some of the problems, when you look at
Pause it for a
what's
second.
going on.
Okay, the premise was if they're dangerous for children. So you what? Well, yeah, if they're dangerous to children, do you want us to administer them when they're dangerous to children, Kristen, whatever your stupid name is? I mean, so you what? So you what? Yeah, I just said if they're dangerous to children. You're okay with that? You're okay with dangerous to children. I see. All right. Let him continue here.
What's going on with disease and sickness in our country, something's wrong.
Are you talking about autism?
Well, if you take a look at autism, you go back 25 years, autism was almost non-existent. It was, 1 out of 100,000, and now it's close to 1 out of 100.
Well,
I mean, what's happening if they can find it? Now, I did something the other night that was a little unusual. At Mar-a-Lago, I called the drug companies, the top drug companies, and I called RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz and some of his people. And I said, let's all get together and let's figure out where we're going. Because we're going to do a lot of things. Number one, we're going to reduce prices because the middleman makes more money than the drug companies, in all fairness to the drug companies. There's a middleman that nobody even knows who they are. And you look at our drug prices, they're much higher than the prices for the same medicine, for the same stuff. So we met, and we met for a long time. And we talked about pricing, and we talked about vaccines, in terms of what happens. We talked about pesticides. We talked about everything. And I think a lot of good things are going to come from him. And he's not going to upset any system. He's not going to upset this. He's not looking to, to reinvent the wheel totally. But when you look at the numbers, we really don't have a very healthy country.
Well, sir, going back 25 years, studies show that there is no link between vaccines and autism. And yet it sounds like you are open to the possibility of him looking
I'm
at
open to
getting
anything.
rid of them.
I think somebody has to find out. If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now you have it. I mean,
well, they say because they're better at identifying it.
Oh, okay.
Bull crap.
1 in 100,000, and now it's 1 in 100. That's a pretty bad number.
Childhood vaccines.
I mean, something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's Maybe it's chlorine in the water, right?
How dare he
people
has
are
an
looking at a
open
lot
mind.
of different
Yeah.
things.
Well, you know, childhood vaccines.
I want them to look at everything.
Everything. So childhood vaccines have prevented about 4 million deaths around the world every year.
I think that's
so
great.
isn't that-
I'm all for it. I think it's great. Hey, look, I'm not against vaccines. The polio vaccine is the greatest thing. If somebody told me get rid of the polio vaccine, they're going to have to work real hard to convince me. I think certain vaccines are incredible. But maybe some aren't. And if they aren't, we have to find out. But when you talk about autism, because it was brought
Pause
up,
it for a
and
second.
you look at
What an outrageous statement. If they're good and we know that, then we're going to continue to administer them. If they're not, if we look into it and we find that, yes, there's a problem with this, it is dangerous to children, we're going to stop it. And is that a radical concept? Really? Kristen?
Yeah.
It just shows their ridiculous hatred for this man. Why wouldn't you have an open mind and at least look into it? Something's going on, as he said. And if you can't figure that one out, then I can't help you. I mean, you should not be in television news. If you can't look at the numbers and see that there is a massive change from years ago to now and think, something's wrong, maybe we should look into it. Since we went from 3 vaccines that we administer to children to 73, maybe that causes something. Maybe together? I don't know. Something's going on, though. Beyond.
Oh, we're just better at diagnosing problems.
Yeah, that might be part of it, but that's not all of it. All right, let him finish.
because it was brought up, and you look at the amount we have today versus 20 or 25 years ago, it's pretty scary.
Well, again, scientists say that's because they've gotten better at identifying it, and there's no link in
but
studies.
the drug companies are going to be working with RFK Jr., and he's been an interesting guy to me. I've watched him for 25 years, and he's been an interesting guy.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. You know, the drug company situation, too, I don't want to be an apologist for Big Pharma, but do you know that American drug companies develop 65%, I think it's 65 to 70% of all new medication. All new medication developed here in America by American drug companies. So a lot of the price that we pay is from their R&D department, the research and development of new drugs. Yeah, we pay a price for that.
Yeah, but when there's a problem with them, you're not going to hear about it on your national news, since your national news is almost completely funded by Big Pharma.
Yeah, no. Look how many commercials come on.
I know.
In any show you're watching, whether it's streaming or network or cable, it doesn't matter.
It's called insulation.
Yeah. I mean, they're financing everything you watch.
Yippers.
That's why you see so many of these commercials. Jeez, and they're obnoxious, all of them. And you have to hear the disclaimer that lasts longer than
commercial.
The benefits, usually. You know, 55 of the 60 seconds are may cause headache, fatigue, dry mouth, irritable, heart attack, brain tumors, cancer. You may suddenly die for no apparent reason after taking this medication. Oh, okay. Sounds great. Can I get like a year-long prescription to it? That'd be great.
Yeah, and I'd be checking out some of the places in the world where these polio outbreaks are renewed. In many cases, and I was just looking for it. It was an Associated Press story. I was just reading. It was an old Associated Press story from years ago that talks about how that in many parts of the world where they have administered these polio vaccines, this new polio vaccines, those are the places where polio is the worst. Wonder how that happens.
Wow.
Doesn't sound like they're very effective. That was an AP article. I'm dying to find it again, man. Oh, anyway.
All right.
So, it's going to be interesting to see what RFK does in HHS. You may stop seeing some of those commercials.
Some of those ads?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That would be something. I mean, you don't see the cigarette ads anymore, right? I mean,
right. Right. 888-900-3393. More Pat Gray Unleashed coming up.
Pat
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Got some tweets here. Jimmy Dimples tweets, Germans call themselves the schmucks of the EU for bailing out the other failing Euro states. Typical, the U.S. would be the schmucks of the planet.
Yeah, typical.
From Expert Garbage, it's about time NATO understands they need us. We don't need them. Obviously, they'd retaliate if we left, but I'm willing to have that fight. Yeah. We got some more coming up from the interview where a lot of ground was covered between Kristen Welker and President-elect Trump. He discussed a lot of things, including Ukraine and what he'll be doing, the executive orders he'll be signing on day one. So we'll either finish that up later in the show or maybe in overtime today. Sign up at blazetv.com. Use the promo code PAT30 to save $30 on your yearly subscription. But there was a huge happening in Syria over the weekend. Their government collapsed. Bashar al-Assad fled the country. He's apparently in Moscow now. It's another embarrassment for Russia, too, because they've been supporting and propping them up all these years. And now they collapsed as well.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So he and his country fled. We had some U.S. airstrikes happen against ISIS. We're now apparently working alongside Al-Qaeda in Syria.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, others may have heard them as well. We haven't talked about them a lot lately, but they're still around.
Oh, my goodness. How are we? 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Yep. So
75 targets hit.
75. That's a pretty major airstrike. And
yep.
There's not really that much being covered on it. Interesting. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu giving the perspective from Israel's side of things.
This is a historic day for the Middle East. The collapse of the Assad regime, the tyranny in Damascus, offers great opportunity, but also is fraught with significant dangers. This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah and Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its oppression. But it also means we have to take action against possible threats. One of them is the collapse of the Separation of Forces Agreement from 1974 between Israel and Syria. This agreement held for 50 years. Last night it collapsed. The Syrian army abandoned its positions. We gave the Israeli army the order to take over these positions to ensure that no hostile force embeds itself right next to the border of Israel. This is a temporary defensive position until a suitable arrangement is found. Equally, we send a hand of peace to all those beyond our border in Syria, to the Druze, to the Kurds, to the Christians, and to the Muslims who want to live in peace with Israel. We're going to follow events very carefully. If we can establish neighborly relations and a peaceful relations with the new forces emerging in Syria, that's our desire. But if we do not, we'll do whatever it takes to defend the state of Israel and the border of Israel.
Man, they are not in an enviable position. They're just surrounded by, hundreds of millions of people who hate their guts and want them eliminated from the planet.
Yeah, I mean, but he's
So
absolutely
tough.
right. That October 7th. I mean, this is a chain reaction.
Yeah,
from that.
That's right.
Because I mean, that's like you said. I mean, the connection there between Syria and then Syria and Iran, and I mean, what's going to happen next? Nobody knows. But he talked about the border there. Israeli ground forces cross into Syria now, so they haven't done so since 1973.
Wow.
And I'm trying to figure out what's their aim in there right now to control Mount Hermon, the Syrian side of the border. What are they doing in there? I don't.
The Israelis?
Yeah. It's why don't you
I think it's like he said. He doesn't want hostile forces
he doesn't want
moving
hostile
in there.
forces to take it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's temporary.
Yeah. I doubt that.
Me too. But
I sure as hell wouldn't be giving that back.
Yeah, he did say
Because I
it.
think it's pretty advantageous ground there.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're in such a tough position, and it's really complicated. And I'm not sure there's reason to celebrate Assad leaving.
Yeah.
Because the new regime might be worse.
Yeah, let's wait and see.
It might be worse.
Somebody just said that. Hey, it's not our fight.
It's not our fight.
Maybe we just stand down and just, let things run their course.
Right. Now, Assad was a douchebag, evil, a dictator, killed children, gassed his own people. But these rebels are tied into ISIS. Are they going to be any better? Yeah, I don't know. But I don't want to deal with it, though. That's their thing.
And how many U.S. troops are currently in Syria that I read?
Well, if you talk to Kamala Harris,
zero.
Oh, right.
Zero,
So,
right.
Zero.
Right.
Okay. So whatever number you're going to give
Why the
is
hell do we
wrong.
have 900 troops in Syria?
Training.
Yeah, we supposedly pulled out of Syria a long time ago. But Joe Biden spoke about the situation going on. So I'm sure that was powerful.
The Middle East. After 13 years of civil war in Syria, more than half a century of brutal authoritarian rule by Bashar Assad and his father before him, rebel forces have forced Assad to resign his office and flee the country. We're not sure where he is, but there's word that he's in Moscow. At long last, the Assad regime has fallen.
Yeah. Okay. But again, is that a good thing? I don't know. Who knows? But he had more.
With a new constitution, a new government that serves all Syrians. And this process will be determined by the Syrian people themselves.
Oh, thank you.
The United States will do whatever we can to support them, including through humanitarian relief to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war and generations of brutality by the Assad family.
I actually have no idea what the words I'm saying mean. I'm just trying to read them off the teleprompter. I don't even know who wrote these words. And I don't even... Why am I wearing no pants right now? Who took my pants?
Oh, funny you say that, Pat Gray, because the teleprompter took a win.
Oh, hell,
did
I
it
thought you were
really?
about to show him without pants on. I was getting nervous.
No. We don't have that yet, but the teleprompter took a win.
Okay. Here, cut 37.
We will help ensure stability in eastern Syria.
Yeah.
Protecting any personnel, our personnel, against any threats.
United.
And remain our
personnel.
mission against ISIS will
dear.
be maintained, including the security of detention facilities where ISIS fighters are being held as prisoners.
Okay.
Well,
Good stuff. He's good. Oh, he's good.
oh, man. That's good stuff. That's good.
I think we're going to find out real fast how good, relative word there for the Middle East, this new leadership is there. Let's see how they treat minorities like Christians. Let's see what happens here. I think that's going to be very telling.
Which is why I think Netanyahu took out that hand of peace. The Kurds, the Christians.
Right.
And then he says Muslims who wants to live peacefully.
Yeah.
Because they know.
Yeah.
They know something's coming.
So I know that Bashar al-Assad was a doctor or dentist? What was he in Britain before this? Before he ran Syria?
I don't know.
Just curious who installed him. You don't just roam in out of Europe and be like, all right, I'm in power now. Like, I have no idea his path to power, but I bet it had something to do with us.
Apathalamadi? Oh, sorry. Oh, a night doctor.
You nailed it.
He's a night doctor.
A night doctor?
An ophthalmologist?
An eye doctor.
Yes.
Eye doctor. Yeah.
Nailed it. He's a
That's exactly. When I read it, when I looked at it, it looked just like that. By the way, they called him as the geeky IT guy.
Really?
Yes.
Well, his father was in charge for a long time, too. And so I think it was just passed down to him. He was just handed it on a silver platter. Now, who installed his father? Probably the CIA.
Which it goes back to what I told
Seriously,
you.
I bet it was. I have no idea, but I bet you're right.
I bet it was the CIA.
One of our listeners posted the video of them, the rebels, going through the palace, and he said, I think it was he said, can we dust for CIA fingerprints?
That's funny. That's really,
you're so right.
That's really good.
Can we check for CIA fingerprints?
We should.
Yes, we should.
Man, did you see the condition of the palace after the looting? The condition of the streets?
The banks is empty.
The banks were looted.
I saw that.
They were taking millions of dollars in cash and gold.
There was another caption
and they still couldn't afford Juan Soto's contract. $765
There was a meme that was
million.
passing around like picture of the new multimillionaires of Syria.
Now that's funny.
That's good stuff.
Now his wife has is it lupus or something?
Bashar's?
Yeah, it's maybe it's not lupus. I forget, but she's got serious health issues. So
leukemia.
I'm sure
leukemia.
I'm sure the Russians will take great care of her.
Great.
Oh, they got a great health care system.
Yeah.
But Biden was asked about the American journalist that is in Syria, Austin Tice, and this was his response.
That's been a
What
while.
happened to Assad now, Mr. President?
Mr. President, what does the U.S. know about foreign released? What does the U.S. know about where Austin Tice might be and if he's safe?
Look at him stop.
Okay.
We believe he's alive. We think we can get him back, but we have no direct evidence of that yet. And Assad should be held accountable.
Have you directed an operation to go get him, Mr. President?
Is Assad in Moscow?
Get who?
Austin Tice.
What were you just talking about?
Yes, sir.
We have to identify where he is.
Holy crap.
Thank you.
What did he whisper there at the
That's
end?
how we have to find out where he is.
Okay. Wow.
That's a meme waiting to happen. Him holding the door open, looking.
Yeah.
By the way, the problem they're having them with prisons is they can't get the prisoners out because no one knows the codes because the prison
really
jail
1, 2, 3, 4.
Beep. So what they're doing now, they're busting the walls and getting all the political prisoners out first.
Wow. Wow.
That's funny. That's actually very
so
funny.
weird.
That almost seems like an action movie, like a comic relief scene.
Yes.
How do I get this door open?
Wow.
Okay.
He claimed Iran and Russia are weaker now.
You know, for years, the main backers of Assad have been Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia. But over the last week, their support collapsed, all three of them. Because all three of them are far weaker today than they were when I took office.
Yeah.
And it had all to do with you.
Of course, Iran, when you gave them access to tens of billions of dollars, of course that made them so much weaker. I mean, who can be stronger when you had an infusion of billions and billions of dollars? He doesn't even make sense. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, current Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin made an announcement.
And I'm proud to announce today the commitment of a new Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative package worth nearly $1 billion.
They are proud of it. They continue to praise themselves for selling us down the river over and over and over again. This is incredible. Another $1 billion on the heels of, how many hundreds of millions was it last week? Every day we were hearing a new announcement about more money going to Ukraine, which followed on the heels of a $6 billion investment, which followed on the heels of $40 billion or $60 billion.
Honestly, at this point, I don't care. I don't care. Give the entire country of Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. I don't care. I'm just so sick and tired of draining our country for this because you know what's next? It's our boys and girls over there. Stop it now. Stop this nonsense. Stop feeding this furnace of war, which is exactly what's going to be happening on January 20th at this rate in Syria with America.
And even Zelenskyy knows the gravy train is coming to a screeching halt, to the point where he even admitted, we'll give up land. We'll give up land for peace. Would he be doing that had Kamala Harris won the election? Absolutely not. There is no way.
But by the way, Canada, I read, has just banned 324 different types of firearms They have already collected over 2,000 of them, and they're sending them to Ukraine.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen that. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep, but you're right. Zelenskyy, I hope, got the message from Trump because he
he understands. I mean, he doesn't want this gravy train to end, but he knows there's no option here.
You see them they met there in Paris, Zelenskyy and Trump. Yeah, play the video here.
Okay.
I mean, they got a little gathering here. Look at that. Not used to a firm handshake from a president, are you? So there's Macron there hanging out. Now, there's another camera angle of this gathering that's a little different. The perspective is a little different. There we go.
That's a weird angle.
It's a weird angle, right?
It sure is.
Different camera. Apparently, the camera causes you to lose 3 feet.
3 feet, yes.
The thing had always been it causes you to gain 10 pounds.
Yes, not no more.
But
No,
apparently
not.
not.
That's
New cameras.
HD cameras are a little different. If you're listening, it's
teeny little Zelenskyy.
Standing
about 2 feet tall.
next to Macron and Trump.
It's great.
So awesome.
That is funny.
I love that video so much.
People, there are just some genius that happens online.
I tell you what, man, there's some creative, talented people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So good. Now, Trump was over there for the reopening of the cathedral, right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
And apparently that is really something. And it's finally opened, and they spent, I don't know, billions repairing it.
Oh, gosh.
I think they raised over $2 billion or so, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly the total amount, but boy, there was some serious damage done in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, that was
They
something that
reinforced
even
it.
Morrissey, of all people, was so pissed about campaigning against, wants the truth to be told about who set this fire.
Really?
Was it really an accident? Oh, Morrissey has a song about it.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, it's crazy.
I'm surprised he even cares. That's interesting.
Yep. There you go.
Huh.
So what
does he think happened?
I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I know that a lot of people think that
I have not heard of
Muslim
conspiracy on
extremists
that.
did that. Yeah.
Okay.
Put that picture back up between Trump and Jill. What do you think they're talking about here? How much they hate Kamala Harris? Found some common ground there? Or?
That could be.
Because they were talking for quite a bit
be.
there. I'm sure they were being just cordial, but wait.
Yeah. Huh.
What does that say? So anyway, after my shift at McDonald's, I bought a garbage truck. That's funny. What does that say?
This is the new fragrance.
Here are my new Trump perfumes and colognes. I call them fight, fight, fight because they represent us winning.
Boy, Jill looks happier sitting next to Trump than she ever did against Joe.
Yep.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
With some tweets for you. We got Sons of Thunder 44. Syria, where an insurrection is an actual insurrection. Yeah, they did more than break into the palace. They actually overthrew the government and forced the leader of the nation to flee for his life. That's an insurrection right there. Bunter Hayden pardoned crack connoisseur.
Pardon. Now he's added pardon to his title.
The airstrikes are not being covered because Trump is still not president. Wait till his inauguration. It'll be World War III all day, every day.
That's true. Yep. That's exactly what will be happening.
From Rowdy Introvert, Pat's imitation of Chris's pronunciation of ophthalmologist quickly morphed into that of a drowning baby polar bear. No. The drowning polar bear is far more coherent and sounds a little different, too. It's... That's the drowning polar bear. Yeah, that's a completely different thing, but thank you, Rowdy Introvert. Also, over the weekend, Donald Trump reiterated his support for Pete Hegseth. You would think now, okay, the easy way out is just to ask him to step aside and get somebody else, right? Yeah. He hasn't taken that path at all.
No.
He still supports Hegseth as defense secretary. Listen to this.
It looks like Pete is doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton and went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
Since you bring him up, do you still have confidence?
Look at her crazy eyes.
Yes, I do. I really do. He's a very smart guy. I've known him through Fox, but I've known him for a long time. And he's basically a military guy. I mean, every time I talk to him, all he wants to talk about is the military. He's a military guy.
Yeah. Not only that, we didn't have this section in the clip, but he says, I told him when he was speaking to Hegseth and asked him to be defense secretary, he said, I told him, you're making a lot of money at Fox. Your family's doing very well. And I said, if for some reason you don't get this thing, you're not going to be able to go back.
Wow, yeah.
And all that money you're making, you can kiss it goodbye. So Trump says that Pete Hegseth responded, yeah, well, this is all about America. Trump further said, he didn't say, well, let me think about it. Let me discuss it. That's a very big, risky thing he's doing. When he goes and he says, I'm going to give up, millions of dollars in order to possibly become Secretary of Defense. A lot of people would say it's a great position. There's probably almost no greater position, but a lot of people would say I have to think about it. He said, I don't have to think about it because he's a military guy and he cares about the military and the soldiers.
Yeah.
Trump said, I used to tease him. I didn't think we'd be in this position where he maybe, hopefully will be Secretary of Defense. But every time I was with him, he was fighting for soldiers, where he said some soldier was unjustly put in prison because they were really doing what they were taught to do in some cases. So, yeah, I think he's going to do fine.
Boy,
so
hope it happens. I mean, you listen to any 5 minutes. Just pick any interview. Go to Spotify, type in Pete Hegseth, listen to any 5 minutes of any interview, and you'll be like, wow. This is a guy I want leading our soldiers.
Yeah.
So
let's not railroad this guy out of, maybe being a huge benefit to our military.
And by the way, the Washington Post reporter who started the whole Pete Hegseth is a drunk who loves to drink alcohol, blah, blah, blah. Somebody posted all these pictures of that reporter drinking.
So great.
I think it was Jack Posobiec, actually, posted all these pictures. So hypocrisy much? And by the way, the Daily Caller had an interesting thread over the weekend that talked about how difficult a job, and you can apply this to many of Trump's nominees, but how it's going to be difficult for someone like Tulsi Gabbard to get the support in the Senate because of all of the defense industry connections that the senators have. And the Daily Caller just goes through Tom Tillis, Mitch McConnell, and so many others who that's where they're making their money, off of pushing wars all over the place through their massive defense donations. So it's a shame that the Republican Party is in this position with a slim margin.
Sure is.
I'm telling you, man, recess appointments. Let's go.
Might have to do it.
Let's go. The clock is ticking on January 20th.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit around and wait for 6 months for this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it becomes election season for 2026, and then people are even more sheepish with their bold stances. No, thank you.
Also, honest Democrat Senator John Fetterman. Whoever thought, a year ago, we'd be describing him that way.
Yeah.
There's no way you would have believed that.
I tagged him on a tweet over the weekend. I doubt he is going to respond. I'm just checking it right now. I just asked him, why don't you caucus with the Republicans, man? I mean, you got a lot more in common. Now, granted, his votes are still Democratic, but I would love to see, what's your party doing for you, man?
Oh, yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. But here's what he had to say about pardons.
It's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases.
Yep.
And we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
I don't know about that, but okay.
He's half right.
All right.
He's half right.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that he's calling for the pardoning of Trump.
Yeah, that is interesting. He's going to get flack for that within his party. Also, the press was still asking questions about the Hunter Biden pardon. KJP didn't have a good day on Friday as a result, but here's that.
Zeke asked this question, I just didn't hear an answer. The next time that the president says he will or won't do something, why should the American people believe him?
I answered that question. I don't have anything else to add. I answered the question. I answered the question. I can't speak to you understanding the question or not, or my answer or not on this. I don't have anything else to say. I'm not going to relitigate this. I did that on Monday for 30 minutes. I went back and forth. I laid out. I said, please read the president's really comprehensive statement on this. And I even said the last paragraph of that statement, he talks directly to the American people.
Directly to them.
And that's how I answered that question.
I see.
Can you acknowledge that it may have been a mistake by the president, you to say multiple times unequivocally that he would not pardon his son?
The president laid out in that statement what changed, why his mind changed, how he wrestled with this decision. The president laid that out.
He laid that out. He did.
So
Nothing else to add.
He said in part, I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice.
Who is this? She's not letting it go.
Just to understand that sentence,
Good
I
for
think
her.
it's important.
Yeah,
is it that the president believes in the justice system except in some cases?
He believes in the justice system. He believes the facts are. Obviously, I talked about the gun charges, what legal experts have said. Former prosecutors have all agreed virtually no one would be criminally prosecuted for underlying factors of Hunter's case. I talked about the gun charges. I talked about the taxes, the tax cases. And there are other factors here, what Republicans have said. As they weren't going to let up. I talked about the upcoming sentencing and what Hunter and his family have been through.
Pause it.
I talked about
Republicans had nothing to do with this prosecution. They didn't have any power to do this. What are you talking about? Republicans aren't controlling the State Department. They're not controlling the judicial system. They had nothing to do with it. This is incredible. Oh, man. They're trying to have it both ways. The Justice Department isn't political, except in this one instance against my son, they were political all of a sudden. What? They just don't make any sense.
Nope.
Yeah, she had more.
Sentencing and what Hunter and his family have been through. I talked about the appointees by the incoming president on law enforcement.
They made millions of millions from this.
And he wrestled with it. He
wrestled.
And I also talked about what Jim Clyburn said. So you're asking me about an apology, but Jim Clyburn said himself in a conversation that he had with the president just 2 weeks ago. The president said the president was reticent when he encouraged the president. When he encouraged Jim Clyburn encouraged the president to move forward with it. Congressman Clyburn, the president responded to him by saying he was reticent.
That's how he responded. He's reticent.
This was not an easy decision.
No, he was, because you said he was reticent, right?
But
was he reticent?
You know, it was a lot of circumstances here.
A lot of circumstances. And he was still reticent.
We can't pass over what legal experts and former U.S. attorneys have said on this.
No, you can't pass over that.
So wait, he was unwilling to do something or talk about something?
He was reticent about it.
No one would be criminally prosecuted with felony offenses with these facts.
Was he
reticent? Have gone through the two important underlying facts.
Oh my
gosh! Cases.
I can't.
And
there's just no. Okay, I can't take it anymore.
42.
There's just no way around this, and everybody knows it. Even the stinking press knows it. That there's no excuse for this. It's indefensible. What he did is just undeniably a lie and he backtracked, and it's hypocritical. And again, they want to have it both ways. They had nothing to do with the Justice Department leveling charges at Donald Trump, but apparently everything to do with leveling charges against Hunter Biden?
Yeah, whenever Hunter Biden's court date was set, sentencing date was set for Thursday, December 12th, that's when the pardon for Sunday, December 1st was put on the calendar. Guarantee you. He wasn't reticent. He wasn't deciding. He wasn't struggling late at night. Oh, what should I do?
He wrestled. He wrestled with it. That's why he was reticent. Because he was wrestling. That's how reticent he was, that he wrestled with it.
Is he reticent on the upcoming pardons, I wonder?
Right?
Yeah, I'm sure he's reticent about that right now.
Ask Rand Paul about
he's wrestling with it right now.
And to answer you guys' question, that question came from MJ Lee, the senior White House correspondent from CNN.
CNN? Oh, really? Really? Wow, I don't remember even seeing her before. That's amazing.
Oh, no, she's been there for a minute.
A minute?
Yeah, she's been there for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's Senator Rand Paul on the preemptive pardons.
Preemptive pardons for those in Trump's crosshairs. And it says, those who could face exposure include such members of Congress as Jan 6 Committee Senator-elect Adam Schiff, GOP Rep Liz Cheney, also mentioned by Biden aides, is a pardon for Anthony Fauci, the former head of the NIAID, who became a lightning rod for criticism during COVID. Now, we're told that the president isn't part of this formulation, that it's coming from staffers, and that these individuals, as far as we know, have not asked for a pardon. But what's your take on the fact that this is under discussion?
I think it's a real possibility that Anthony Fauci could get a pardon. He is at risk. I've referred him twice to the Department of Justice. The Biden administration has ignored it, but we have a great deal of evidence that he lied to Congress, which is a felony punishable by 5 years. The proof that we have that he's lying is from his own emails. So we have his private emails gotten by court order, and they contradict what he was saying publicly in a way such that I think we could prove that he has lied to Congress, which is a felony. As far as other pardons, I fully suspect the president will pardon his brother coming up, too. He's protecting Hunter, who has a criminal record, a long and storied criminal record, taking $80,000 a year from a large business in Ukraine. I think also there will be a consideration of whether or not President Biden may want to pardon himself as well. So I think the Biden syndicate of making money did act illegally, and who knows? Maybe the president will even pardon himself.
Who knows?
All right. So just real quick, a preemptive pardon before any charges have been brought. You expect that to happen for Anthony Fauci?
After seeing what they did with Hunter Biden, who has a host of convictions, a host of wrongdoing, and they gave him a pardon, not just on what he's been accused of anything he may be accused of over a 10-year period.
It's just like the plea deal that the judge laughed at. It's essentially the same time period.
Yep.
Exactly.
Although he's reticent to do it.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's wrestling with it right now. That's how reticent he is.
I hate to hear that.
He's actually wrestling with being reticent.
Old man handled that stress.
Oh, it's really hard.
For Christmas, I'd like a preemptive pardon, complete with blanket immunity, please, for past, present, and future crimes. Can we get those?
Can we also set you up in a 5-star hotel?
You can throw that in.
With illegal aliens?
No, I just want the pardon.
Yeah. Okay. Just the pardon's okay?
Yeah, because then I can just break into any 5-star hotel.
Oh, that's true.
Whenever I want to.
That's
I've got that preemptive pardon.
Right. You could join the hall of Hunter the Butts.
She did?
No, me and Hunter the Butts could end up.
Getting the presidential pardons.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
In a last-minute effort before leaving office, President Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use missiles supplied by the United States for strikes against Russia in their ongoing war. This comes as a response to North Korean troops being positioned along Ukraine's border and being involved in this fight. And that's kind of scary for the entire planet right now. There could be so many different things that happen to our supply chain. It can be interrupted by war, by disease, by who knows what. or it might just be inconvenience. Maybe you're out of town, you're not near your doctor or your pharmacy, and you come down with something that you've had before and you know what it is, and you've got the antibiotics to fight it. You can do that in advance with the Jase case. It's a personalized emergency kit that contains essential antibiotics and medications that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. It provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. Just fill out a simple form online, and you'll have it in case you need it. There's add-ons, too, like EpiPens and ivermectin. Also, they just launched an all-new compounded version of ivermectin for only $30 as an add-on to the Jase case. So go to jase.com, enter the promo code PAT at checkout to get a discount on your order. That's promo code PAT at jase.com.
Pat Gray will return after this.
Hey, at Kexi Cookies, you want to get involved in ordering your cookies like right now to make sure that they're there by Christmas time, just as soon as you can. We've got that delicious peppermint fudge for Christmas, the cinnamon roll cookie. Oh,
I had that one
good.
over the weekend.
Yeah, good,
So
right?
good.
So good.
But put it in the microwave, and it'll be even better.
Oh, yeah, for about 10 seconds.
10
Don't put it
seconds.
in there too long.
Oh, no, it's already cooked, guys.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Just warm it up.
Just warm it
and
up.
it'll be
A
like
quick
it came
10 seconds.
hot out of the oven for you.
That's a Kexi hack.
So delicious. Good Kexi hack. Yeah.
It is a good Kexi hack.
So order it now. Do it by, for sure, by the 13th. But the sooner the better,
right?
really. Yeah. Kexi.com, KEKSI.com. Let me share some tweets with you from Lady Hawkeye. Trump meets with the head of the Lollipop Guild in Paris. We have that photo. Yeah, there it is. There you go.
I don't know how Trump and
So
Macron keep a straight face.
Keep a straight face.
Right?
Yes.
Look how tiny.
Well, they're not discriminatory against the height challenged.
I'm in the water in Ukraine.
From Where's My Pudding? Jill was thanking Trump for winning when they were speaking to each other. She was smiling because she was sitting next to a real man who wasn't in diapers.
That ain't, yeah.
And she was sitting next to somebody she could finally vote for, and apparently think that was mentioned too.
A lot of memes are saying when you finally meet the person that you voted for. By the way, that's Ashley Biden. So it's Ashley Biden and Jill Biden.
Okay.
Because the President Biden declined the invite.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he did?
Yes, he
well,
did.
he's busy.
He's
Oh,
busy,
wow.
Pat.
Right, signing pardons and stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
Preemptive pardons.
I wonder if he talked to Ashley Biden.
Is Ashley married?
I think so. Pretty sure.
Because where's her husband?
I don't know.
Why isn't he with her?
I don't know. Hey,
What's going
Ashley,
on
you read
there?
any good books lately? No?
Sarah the Band tweets, no, Hunter committed actual crimes and was too stupid to get rid of all the evidence. His convictions were justified.
Yes.
His pardons were not.
Thank you, Sarah.
Very true. Paco D, KJP will be on The View with Q Card. Oh, okay. So I guess after
everything
after this is over, she goes directly to The View.
Yeah, but all of her comments will have to be pre-written for her. That's, I think, the point. And Ashley Biden is married to a Howard Crime.
A plastic surgeon.
Oh, okay. So they're doing okay, no doubt. That's great. Glad to see it. Hey, the college football playoff bracket is out, and it's official. And BYU, of course, is not among the 12 fortunate football teams, which sucks because they should be. They have the 12th best strength of record.
Oh, you know what?
12th.
That's interesting that you bring that up. Somebody actually sent me the strength of schedule.
Okay.
Today. I don't think I sent that one in. No. But you might want to zoom in just a little bit here on this. Joe, I want to point out that the top 10 strength of schedule, the only one in the top 10 that made it to the playoffs is Georgia. As you can see,
wow, really?
all of these schools: Michigan, Mississippi State, UCLA, Kentucky, Purdue, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida,
Holy
Arkansas.
cow.
Alabama. The top 9 hardest schedules did not make it.
Did not make it.
But go back. No, don't leave yet. Here is a strength of schedules that did make it, if you can see in the columns here. 23, 49, 15, 54, 38, 64, 57, 67, 42, 35, 78, and then there's Georgia at 10.
So what do they really use to decide who goes? You know what they use? What does the brand look like? What is your logo? Is it a big A, a big red A? Then actually, they didn't get in though. I can't say that because Alabama didn't make it.
They like the G.
They do like the G.
Well, they
yes,
should. They should.
They do like the T, the orange T. Either Texas or Tennessee. Either one's fine. But I'd like to just mention, we're talking about the Pac-12. Well, the Pac-12 teams, look at they made it in their conference. Yeah. Texas came from where? Oh, that's right, the Big 12 into the SEC and almost won that stinking conference.
Yeah, they're the only newcomer that didn't win their, the Big 4 conference championship games.
Yeah.
Well, no, I guess we got SMU.
SMU
almost beat Clemson.
Yeah. By the way, who beat SMU before Clemson? Oh, that's right. BYU.
But you can see, Arizona State won their conference.
Arizona State
newcomer.
Just crushed
right?
Iowa State. Oh, my God.
Oregon, newcomer, won.
Yeah.
So there you go.
First round looks like Clemson, Texas. The winner plays Arizona State in the quarters in the Peach Bowl. Tennessee, Ohio State. The winner will face Oregon. SMU, Penn State in the first round. The winner faces Boise State, whose strength of schedule is like 89th, I think. Indiana, Notre Dame is another first round, and the winner there faces Georgia. So,
how did Penn State get above Ohio State?
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it's
since Ohio.
Yeah, how did SMU get ahead of BYU, team that beat them? I don't know.
Clemson.
I don't know.
Clemson's what kept Alabama out, I guess.
Yes, for sure, But
oh well,
none of it makes sense.
Hey, we got the big boy mowers pinstripe. Bowl,
oh, you did get that?
Yeah.
Who are you playing in it?
Boston College.
Okay, that's not a bad matchup.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, that's not bad.
You got to go to New York City, unfortunately.
BYU gets Colorado in the Alamo Bowl.
Oh, that's the Big 12 championship game we should have had.
Yes, exactly right.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
We've talked many times about the Harris campaign burning through cash in the final weeks of her presidential run. Here was the Call Her Daddy host. Remember that? They did that podcast.
Yeah.
And she explained how the Harris team built a set in D.C. instead of just flying her to the podcast set in New York.
Gosh. There's a little bit of controversy about that podcast because you didn't.
Oh.
Do you know about this?
No, what?
Because in D.C., this interview happened in D.C.
Yeah.
In a hotel.
Yeah. Not in a hotel.
Yeah, no.
It was like a random house.
It was like random house. But apparently, you can tell me, they spent, the Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see
you
that.
Know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
Yeah, that's not true.
Not true. To make it look like it was the studio that you used in L.A.
Incredible.
My studio that is gorgeous in Los Angeles doesn't even cost 6 figures. So I don't know how cardboard walls could cost 6 figures, but...
Huh.
But do you think they did that?
Interesting.
I mean, you saw
Absolutely not. With love to them. Oh my God, it was gorgeous, but like, it wasn't that nice.
What?
It wasn't like gorgeous marble. Like, no, that was not 6 figures.
Okay, she has no idea. She doesn't know what the campaign spent on the faux set that looked like hers. So the report is that the Kamala campaign, burning through cash, like you said, spent $100,000 because they couldn't fly Kamala from what, D.C. to New York?
Weird, just really weird.
For a fake set? I absolutely believe they spent $100,000 on that.
Oh yeah,
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
But she fact-checked that at least, the host lady there. She's like, no. It wasn't a hotel. It's like a house or something. Okay. Thanks for the fact check.
Hey, man, it's Alex Cooper. You want to make sure that all the facts are straight.
Alex Cooper?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I tell you, what a That campaign.
That has to be one tremendous podcast. I've never seen it. Well, except for the one she did with Kamala. You used to be a fan?
When it used to be two ladies.
Yeah.
Used to be a fan, but then they broke up, and it's not the same.
Oh, no.
When the band breaks up, it's just not the same.
That hurts.
It's too bad.
So what is the genesis of the name Call Her Daddy?
It's like girl boss. It's just them.
Yeah.
Boy, that's
powerful.
They're the ones
They're empowering women.
How about I call you Alex Cooper? That's
they empower women by sexual acts.
That's great.
Sharing what sexual acts works to get the man get more men out of them.
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Holy crap! I didn't know where that was going.
So the Harris campaign got their butts kicked, and many on the left are still bitter, like vice presidential hopeful turned loser Tim Walz. Here's what he had to say.
I think we're going to have to understand what type of leadership do they want. We were pledging to be inclusive. We were pledging to bring people in. Donald Trump has said that isn't what he wants. And so if that's what America's leading towards, I guess for me, it's to understand and learn more about America, because I thought that they were going to probably move towards a more positive message.
Go to the horse barn.
Shut up. We rejected their positive message. Is that what happened, dumbass?
Joy.
Get out of here.
So much joy with that campaign, if you recall.
So ridiculous. I'm so glad we don't have to put up with him for 4 years. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine?
We sent him back to you, Minnesota. Enjoy.
I'm so curious to know how was that Thanksgiving dinner, because his family voted for Trump.
Oh,
grandma, brother, cousins. How was that dinner?
Had to be fun. Well, they rejected his positive message, so he's probably disappointed in his family, I bet, because they were all about inclusion and joy and wonderment. That's what calling Donald Trump a Nazi is. It's joy and a positive message. That's what it is. Barack Obama is a bit bitter, too, because nobody gives a rat's anus what he cares about or says anymore. Here's he on the campaign.
The election proved that democracy is pretty far down on people's priority list.
Oh, get out of my
Pluralism is not about holding hands and singing Kumbaya.
There we go.
It is not about abandoning your convictions. It is about recognizing that in a democracy, power comes from forging alliances and building coalitions and making room in those coalitions, not only for the woke, but also for the waking.
What does that mean?
It means you got to wake up and become woke like them, or they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Boy,
fortunately, we don't care what he says anymore.
Bitter man.
Yeah, he is.
Goes, looks like, what was it? Democracy? What did he say?
It's low on the list.
Low on the list of priorities for Americans.
Yeah, we're not a democracy, so it should be really low on our list. I'm so tired of it. Oh, man. I mean, there's a great article from Andrew Stiles from the Washington Free Beacon about Obama, the serial memoirist and Netflix producer who owns a $20 million estate on Martha's Vineyard, as well as, I believe, 3 other beautiful mansions, and also served as, of course, the 44th president of the United States. He keeps trying to reinsert himself into the national conversation, but nobody cares anymore. Earlier he talked about himself while sitting next to former German Chancellor Angela Merkel. On Thursday, he gave a vapid speech at the Obama Foundation's Democracy Forum. I think that's what we heard part of.
And we got another clip, too.
He denounced our current polarized environment. Is that what? He also, check this out. Yeah. Here's what else he had to say.
There are going to be times, potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in.
What?
Hello? Yeah.
A permanent grip on power.
So Democrats.
Either by actively suppressing votes or politicizing the armed forces or
election
using the judiciary, the criminal justice system to go after opponents.
Unreal.
And in those circumstances, pluralism does not call for us to just stand back and say, well, I'm not sure. That's okay.
No, you can do that if you're Democrats, but not Republicans. Republicans can't.
a line has been crossed.
Oh,
we have to stand firm.
Whoa, what does that mean?
Really?
What are you talking about, bro?
So he's denying the election. He's an election denier.
Exactly. A line has been
Are
crossed.
you serious?
When it all costs. It's
incredible.
Drop the radical pose for the radical means or something like that.
Right.
Ends.
Right.
Radical. Get Glenn in here. He knows Van Jones stuff. Anyway, I mean, this guy is talking. He's again. Democrats always do this. They accuse the other side of exactly what they do.
Right. Right.
And he is. That sounds like a bitter man who knows he was this close to destroying this great nation. This close.
Andrew Stiles brought up Alexander Hamilton in this article and his opposition to presidential term limits, which he outlined in Federalist number 72, if you'd like to reference it in your reading today. It's Federalist 72.
72?
'Cause I know a lot of us like to, start the week.
Yeah, it's Monday.
Yeah. You like to bone up on the Federalist
Reference
Papers.
it. I mean, I've got it memorized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course. Of course you do.
72?
But Hamilton imagined future presidents, Barack Obama, who might be, quote, vain and ambitious as well as avaricious, unquote, who upon reaching the end of their allotted time in the seat of supreme magistry would be forced to assuage their considerable ego by wandering among the people like discontented ghosts and sighing for a place which they were destined never more to possess. Our astute reader observed that Obama appears to have a roaring case of discontented ghosthood.
So wait a minute. A serious question. Hamilton was arguing for presidential term limits?
No, against.
No, against. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Hamilton's view had ultimately prevailed, would Obama even have wanted to continue serving as president? Unlikely, given his fondness for accumulating wealth and insatiable thirst for hanging out with celebrities. Isn't that the truth? And originally, there were no term limits. I mean, we didn't get term limits until, much, much later,
50s.
like 1950s, because of FDR. And they didn't want that to happen again. So.
And FDR was a Republican, right?
Oh, whoa,
No.
bro.
No.
Oh, my
No,
God.
he wasn't.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Territorian needs to learn some American history.
Well, he just assumed, I'm sure, Chris,
that's what I'm saying.
because
Republicans
Republicans
want
are so
power.
evil and they only seek for power and gain.
That's what I was trying to
my
connect the
bad.
dots.
I didn't pick up. I'm
Right.
slow.
Yeah, a little sarcasm there, I think,
my
on
bad.
Chris's
That's
part.
my bad. So,
I mean, he's actually saying the election was rigged.
Yeah.
After they berated Trump for that for 4 years, they're doing
what
exactly the
they've
same
done.
thing, but we knew that would
That's
happen.
what they've done since 2004.
It is.
Or 2000, excuse me.
Yeah,
Every
yes.
time a
Every time they
Republican
lose.
wins an election, Democrats find it fashionable to deny elections. But boy,
then
if
it's
a
okay
Republican
suddenly.
wants some evidence, and tries to present a case.
Heaven forbid.
Oh my gosh.
And we played the 12-minute, 24-minute long montage of Democrats.
And it's only going to get longer
It's
now.
going to get longer now, yes.
Yep.
Because right now we still have two governors in Georgia, Stacey Abrams and the other guy.
Right.
I don't even know the other guy's name.
So,
Kemp.
There you
Brian
go.
Kemp. Yeah. So, honestly, that is a Marxist right there. Barack Obama, who had the prize, he had the precious in his hands. America's ultimate destruction. Just give me 8 years of Kamala Harris and me behind the scenes destroying the nation just like I was doing through Biden, and we
Now
can
he's
get
pissed
this
off.
thing done.
Yeah.
But America rejected
Thank goodness.
that SOB.
And Michelle said it. Michelle told us all the time when she was first lady that Obama is going to change everything. Radically change everything.
Right. Our history, our conversation, our traditions. And they've done a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
They've done so much damage to this country. All right. Let me tell you about Birch Gold. Open a gold IRA with Birch Gold Group and get free silver coins shipped directly to your home. Yeah, the most wonderful time of the year. The time of the year when Birch Gold gives away a free silver American Eagle coin for every $5,000 purchased. And here's the best part. You don't have to pay a penny out of your pocket in order to take advantage of this. But by December 20th, just convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals, and Birch Gold will send your free silver coins directly to your home. Now, you might be thinking, why do I need to diversify into gold? Well, even though your guy is headed to D.C., things are not going to be perfect. An administration trying to put a dent in a $36 trillion national debt in just 4 years, it's like a field mouse trying to stop a freight train. Really can't be done. We can't even afford to pay the interest on the debt that we have, and it just exceeded $36 trillion, if you haven't heard. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Take action right now to protect your savings. Text the word PAT to 989898. You'll get a free info kit on gold, and you'll claim your eligibility for free silver on your purchase from Birch Gold. But you got to do this by December 20th. Just get the free info kit, go through it, see if it's right for you. Just text PAT to the number 989898 and get some peace of mind that lasts longer than 4 years.
I will keep my promise. I will live in the past, present, and the future. The spirits of all three will strive within me. Oh, heaven and Christmas time be praised for this. I say this on my knees, Jacob Marley. On my knees.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Did you see that Eric Adams didn't rule out becoming a Republican? I guess he was a Republican from 97 to 2001.
Yeah, I only learned that last week.
Yeah, we talked about it after the show.
Yeah. And that's kind of interesting because they're trying to pin him down. Well, would you become a Republican? And he didn't rule it out. He said, I love this country. And he cares more about the country than his party. And his party is off the rails. He knows that. We know that. So, what's the right thing to do? I don't know. Let's throw out parties like George Washington wanted us to do in the first place. Because the exact thing George Washington was worried about has happened, where people are more concerned about their party politics than they are the country. It's exactly what Washington wanted to avoid. But here we are. So it would be nice if we could just pay more attention to being patriots than being partisan Democrats or Republicans. Taylor Lorenz.
Oh, yeah.
What is this about?
Okay, so remember she was happy that the United Healthcare CEO got gunned down.
Oh, my gosh,
celebrating that. So if you recall, she was just so upset years ago when she, as a Washington Post reporter, was called out. What was the whole thing? Oh, threatened online or whatever. So what you're about to see is Taylor Lorenz confronted with her gleefulness for the United Healthcare CEO's death now, and how she reacted when she was threatened online, according to her, a couple years ago.
You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. It's horrifying.
She's smiling.
So sorry.
Am I, when I say, do I wish someone dead, is that advocating for them to be killed? No, of course not. But am I going to shed tears? Of course, people are going to get a little carried away and celebrate, but they're celebrating because it feels like a victory.
Oh my gosh. These are despicable, abhorrent people.
Demons among us. Yep.
That's just evil.
Yeah, and this manhunt continues. They're now in Atlanta. They found the backpack in Central Park with the Monopoly cash in it.
You don't know anything about this guy.
No.
You don't know one thing except he's the CEO of an insurance company. Yeah. And that's it. This is unbelievable. And all of a sudden, because of that, it's a victory, you feel like?
People are gross, man. They're evil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
There's the guy there. Remember, he took his mask down to supposedly flirt with somebody.
Yeah.
So do we have the poll that I put up over the weekend? Because I asked a question here that basically says, who had the United Healthcare CEO murdered in New York City? Angry customer, crazy activist, someone he knew himself. Because there's thoughts now. There's a theory that maybe it was for insurance purposes. Do we have the results of that poll? No, you didn't. You didn't vote. Oh, you got them. Cool.
Yeah,
okay,
I got them. Let's see. An angry. Let me break out the just so I don't get this wrong. Got the Jackie glasses that have to go on. Let's see. An angry customer, 34.1%. A crazy activist, 33.1%.
Okay.
Someone he knew, 26.7%. Very close. Among the top three. Himself, 6.1%.
Yeah, and so then a lot of people commented that might have something to do with him testifying or something coming up here.
Yeah, because they're under investigation
for insider trading.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, the Nancy Pelosi that he was going to testify against her, I don't know that. I mean, I love that theory.
Yes.
But I don't know that that's accurate.
I don't think it's either because I couldn't find anything on that either.
Ditto.
Wow. Speaking of prosecutions, though, here's the Daniel Penny decision is so I guess halfway done.
Yeah.
Part of it's been dismissed.
Yeah. So
right?
Friday the jury couldn't come to a decision on the murder charge there would have given him 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
So today they're going to reconvene for possibly up to 5. He could get 0 time. 0 to 4 years he could get if he's found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. But you've got to see the video that's been going around. We tried to get to this all last week of the chick that's prosecuting him.
All right.
So I'm going to give you an example of something that I did with a recent case of mine, and this has never been done in my office.
Yeah. Pause this. She's explaining how she gets criminals in New York City off the hook or lesser sentences. Okay.
All right.
So she's always out there on support of crime in that town.
I had a murder case.
Pause it again just for a second. Now, this is a biological woman, right?
Why would you? Of course. Why would you ask that?
Okay, I was making sure because
what do you mean you have
I'm not a
questions?
biologist, so I just wanted to make sure that we were dealing with an actual woman.
Yes, thank
here.
you for bringing that up. Pat.
Gentlemen,
I'm not a scientist.
We're not.
What am I?
A biologist.
You know the dead giveaway is if I had said, "Here he is."
Oh, okay. So then, all right.
Okay.
So but here she is. Here they are.
They are.
Here they are. No? Okay. Here she is.
Defendant did not intentionally kill the victim. He went into an ATM on the Upper West Side and tried to rob an individual. Unfortunately, it was an older individual. He was 86. And in the course of the robbery, he fell to the ground, and as a result, he died. This is, under the law, a felony murder, which is akin to intentional murder.
I see.
However, when I first got the case, I learned, I took the time to learn about the defendant.
She took the time. Okay.
And it was a strong case, so it wasn't about a whodunit. I knew immediately who did it. I could prove it. I could take it to trial that day and win it. But it wasn't about that. It was that the more I learned about the defendant and his life and the circumstances, the kinds of things that Jarrell was talking about,
right.
that one should take into account the trauma of that individual.
So no doubt you've done that with Daniel Penny.
I really felt incredibly sorry for him that he had gotten to that point in his life where he felt like there was no other choice but to commit this robbery.
Yeah,
it was just an accident.
But isn't that it was an accidental death? So, but she has no quarter for
Daniel
Penny,
right?
Who a case can be made actually did not cause the death, but she's a piece of work. But I thought we might want to look into Jordan Neely if we're taking into account the past of the individuals that are there involved in these cases. Jordan Neely in 2015 kidnapped a 7-year-old girl. 2019 punched a 64-year-old man in the face. 2021 punched a 67-year-old woman in the face as she exited the subway, breaking her nose and fracturing her orbital bone.
Geez.
And then, of course, we know that he was threatening people's lives on the train, but we don't take that into account when we're doing this the way she has in the past.
Crazy.
Yeah.
My gosh.
She's a piece of work. That is, what is her name?
She could use some conditioner as
Daphne.
well. I just like to recommend some conditioner.
Okay.
For her next shampoo.
Well, her partner is a BLM activist.
Okay.
Just so you know. And you should see what the BLM spokesperson said after that hung jury on Friday. You should see what they had to say outside the courthouse.
Got 24.
They want to spare a white man the penalty of his crimes. America has not changed, and I hate to say it, it may never change. And people who keep asking, are we going to riot? Are we going to protest? Is that what's needed? Do glass have to break? Do cars have to burn for a black man to get justice in America? We can't show up with peace. We can't show up with facts. We can't show up with evidence and witness after witness. You give us nothing. And then you ask us to love this country. America hates black people, and we see it from that jury pool.
Wow. Jeez.
A black man was lynched, and his name was Jordan Neely.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Lynched.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
His family, of course.
I don't think you know what lynching means.
Looking for a payday from the city.
Oh, sure. Wow.
George Floyd's family got $27 million from Minneapolis. Sure did. Remember that?
She asked an interesting question. Do glass have to break?
Do glass have to break?
I don't know.
And we need
answers. We do. Yeah.
Do glass
have to break?
Here's a fun fact. Manhattan DA Greg Price posted this. Alvin Bragg, you've heard of him. He's downgraded 60% of all felony cases to lesser charges last year. So he also, as he
how much
points out, 60%. So criminals get to roam the streets in New York, while those who stand up to them get prosecuted.
Just
Pray
incredible,
for Daniel
isn't it?
Penny today. Pray for that man.
Yep.
He's a
He's
hero.
up against it. He really is. This is it's scary. 888-900-3393. Use that number tomorrow, and we will talk to you then. Plus, we've got overtime coming up today.
Are we going to answer the question? Do glass break?
We will try to answer it, but I'm not guaranteeing an answer. But we'll see.
Glass have to break.
Do glass have to break? I'm not sure. But yeah, we will investigate.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.